Hey, hey, welcome back to the Misunderstood podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Andy Thomason, and I'm here with Mitchell Buds. And he's got some show notes that he was just reading off. And I just think listening to him read off the show notes are hilarious. So we're just going to take a quick little segment where Mitchell just reads the show notes.
Yeah, so yeah, we did that. We were talking about notes, and this is how I type them: humor versus social justice, trans people changing science.
Oh my gosh, dude, I love the trans people changing science.
And I was like, wait a minute, why was I was typing these in short.
Wait, because we were just talking about, this would be a good topic.
Yeah, people correct / racism has caused people to have power. Oh, gypsies say gypsy is racist. Change entire language for race.
Well, so that was because, sorry, I'm going to pause you for a moment, but that was because I was saying it wasn't race, though. That had to have been gender.
Change entire language for racism / woke. So it was like,
okay,
what we were talking about.
Well, how do you say black in Spanish?
Black?
No, it's negro.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then I was saying the reason why is because everything in Spanish has a tone, masculine or feminine.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do you do that with transgenderism? With like are you going to change law in L's? Like, are you just going to assign whatever you want? Because I tried doing that in high school when I was learning Spanish. I tried doing that and just be like, well, who's to say the biblioteca has to be a law? Why can't it be L?
That's true.
Why does the library have to be feminine tone?
That's true.
But my Spanish teacher said, who was Dave Edwards?
Yes.
Said no.
I will say with this, when learning Spanish, that was a big hang up for me. Was the
dude? Yeah, the tone, the masculine, feminines.
It really messed with my head,
dude. Another thing with like the transgender movement. How do you play a game of Guess Who?
It's true.
Is it a man or woman? I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, I also had woke, and I put racism / woke, and I think what we were talking about on that was like men working signs are no longer allowed because manholes. It could be there's manholes, and there's like did you ever see those construction signs that would say men working ahead?
No, I know, but you're talking about
you can't have that no more.
Oh, what do they say?
Because they're mad because it's like there could be females working there as well. So that's kind of where we're going. But I also had black or okay, never mind. I know where that was.
The black or African American, because it's confusing. Because some people are okay with the term black, and some people would rather use the term African American, and then there are some people that would rather the reverse. Because some people are like, I'm not African, I am an American.
Right.
But it's like, okay, but
we don't know. Because like when I was in high school, our English teacher, I had to write a paper that had to do with, I don't know what exactly what it had to do with, but I remember she had a black son. I remember being like really torn on how to describe black people in the paper.
Yeah. So how'd you put it?
I put African American, and she got so mad at me that I put African American.
Because he's American?
Yeah. And so I was like, well, what do I say? She's like, you should know. So I changed it to black people. And she was like...
in a formal writing essay?
Yes. And she was mad again because she was like, that's not correct either. And she finally told me it was colored.
No way.
Yes, she did. I swear. It was Miss Campbell.
No way.
Yep. She said that was the correct terminology. Or whatever you say it. Yeah.
Like the politically correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
She was misinformed.
Yeah, she told me that was the correct way.
Nah. No way.
People in America critical on how each other talk, on how everybody talks. And I think so a lot of that is like which I don't have much of a draw compared to like, we don't necessarily.
I have a messed up Did you just hear me say no way a second ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little Canadian-ish.
I know I have it messed up because when I lived in Maine or I stayed in Maine and when I lived in Wisconsin for a bit and hanging out with specifically car dealers.
Right.
Because you talk a lot.
Yeah.
Doing the car dealer thing. And even still to this day, sometimes I say car really weird.
At least it's not like, how do they say it in Boston? Car. So, what
Pat cat have yad.
I think a lot of that is like when I work, especially on the East Coast or up any more north, people are like, you have a draw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm from Southern Illinois, but then they look at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because they think that people from the South that have a little bit of a draw, like, I guess maybe that means you're just dumb.
So I tell my kids that it's okay to at times over enunciate, but if you under enunciate, that's a problem. Right. So for example, this is not a racist thing at all, but I do have black children and they do pronounce the word ask as if it's a certain brand of body spray.
Right.
I'm serious.
I know.
I am 100% serious.
Axe.
That's exactly how and so I'm like, no, there's a S before the K, and I'm not trying to gentrify. I'm just.
Why do you think that they do that?
I wonder if there is actually something in the way their mouths are developed due to the genetics. And I don't think that, like, I'm not saying like I'm not trying to make that a racist comment because, I mean, the way my mouth is developed, there are certain things from other languages that I cannot do with my mouth. Like, I can't roll my tongue really well for, like, Hispanic languages.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's because, like, Asian dialect, they speak in a, like, a, type of,
right,
very, like punchy type of, dialect.
Dude, I want to make so many comments.
You know what I'm saying, though? Dude, make it. I don't care. But you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, because of that, I feel like due to that dialect, Asian mouths have formed a certain way. How
do Chinese people name their children?
By dropping their silverware.
No, I was gonna say that I always said they throw a pot down a flight of stairs and the noises it makes.
I've heard the same thing but like dropping their silverware. Dude, no.
So that's an interesting deal
but you know what I'm saying?
Their mouth.
Okay, so anyway, so going back, like I tell my kids, like, so my kids, they'll pronounce ask as axe. And I'm like, no, that's actually technically not what it is. That is something that you use to chop wood.
But Bentley's white, like
does he say axe?
No, but he says restaurant.
Instead of restaurant?
Yeah. And I told him before, like, you're gonna wind up in speech class if you don't knock it off, and he doesn't listen to him. And he did actually for 1 year. He was in speech class. Or they put him in he was saying restaurant and he said something else. I can't remember what it was, but he's still like if you're like, no, it's restaurant, then you're like, oh, restaurant. But if he's just talking casually, restaurant.
Leland. So the reason why I say that though is because my daughter, she pronounced ask as axe. My son, he over enunciates, and he's got a southern drawl in his over enunciation. So a perfect example is, what do you go swimming in?
Pool.
Okay. My son will pronounce it as pool. Like there's a third syllable in there. A pool.
So you're saying Asians have a stiffer tongue?
No, because I don't think that's why I don't necessarily know about that. He's only a quarter Asian at this point.
I know, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so I don't know. But he's got kind of like that Forrest Gump type of, like he'll say school or fool, and I'm like, okay, but if you're full from being you were hungry and now you're full, it's fool. But if you're calling someone a fool, then it's okay to say fool because you're kind of over and, that's okay.
How does Taylor do with all of this? Because do you ever have these conversations with her about like...
she says, I don't care.
Okay.
Or to verbatim, I don't care.
Yeah. Dude, you need to have her on here sometime do the bacon boy thing.
Oh, dude, that's so bad. Okay, so that was part of the reason for that headline of Americans criticizing not speaking American correctly. But another portion of that was because is that noise? That's the coffee maker. Okay, so another portion of why we did that headline was because I saw this bit from this comedian that he said that he lived in China for a bit, and he was learning the Chinese language, and he didn't speak it that great or that well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chinese people were so excited that he was learning how to speak Chinese. And he was like, that does not happen in America.
No.
If a person from outside of America starts learning English or the American dialect of English, we get so frustrated.
Yeah.
Because it's not good enough.
Well, like, you're right, because like
think of when you go to like the Mexican restaurant or the Chinese restaurant.
Well, we would have Germans come over and help at hella, and people would be like, God, they just can't speak English real well. I can't understand them. And it's
think
like,
of your customer service.
It's like, well, at least they're trying. And what's crazy is like in Germany, they are taught English in high school.
Yeah.
Like they know English.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, are they going to speak it great? No. I think it's cool. But I think it's also funny when Americans are like, I can't understand their English.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not exactly their primary language, and maybe you should just be happy that at least they tried, because we're not over here trying anything.
No, dude. So like, my sister-in-law, her mom is just recently, within the last few years, got her American citizenship. She was from Nicaragua, and she doesn't have the greatest. Or the strongest American English dialect, but still, nonetheless, yeah, like what you said, it's like at least they're trying, man. Like she's trying to work, and my sister-in-law, she's the same thing. I remember when she came to our high school one day, and she spoke barely any English that I know of, and to this day she has a very strong accent,
right?
But she speaks English actually fairly well. She just has a strong accent,
right?
Because it's like, yeah, like you said, it's not her native language. But it just cracks me up because I was like, that's so true. Because it's like, if Taylor and I will go to the Mexican restaurant and she'll try and order something, she gets so frustrated when they don't understand her order.
Yeah.
And I said, first of all, you have this hardcore white privilege mentality of like this BK, have it your way. And I'm like, just order something else.
Yeah.
Because you take this order and you overcomplicate it to where it's like, that's not even that order anymore. You just got something from the a la carte menu, but you refuse to order a la carte because you can't pronounce a la carte.
Right. So talking about interracial couples made me think of something. Yesterday, I wanted to say it yesterday, but we were at our in-laws' house and I didn't want to go into interracial talks, but did you notice that commercial yesterday while I was watching football that was like, it was a USAA, which is some sort of military program, if I remember right.
It's like, is it not insurance retirement type thing?
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. And it was like a military younger vet, like doing flowers in his front yard.
It wasn't a vet. That was Gronk.
Okay, so he's not a vet.
No.
But he's doing flowers in his front yard, and then up rolls a family.
They're a mixed family.
And it's a mixed family, but it's so hard in your face. It was like a Vietnam vet, clearly a Vietnamese wife, and Vietnamese mixed children. And I have a real problem with commercials like that. Because it's like, all I'm doing is thinking, that guy brought her back from Vietnam. And then I'm like, why are they presenting it this way? Like, when did commercials have to become interracial? Because every commercial now is
go ahead, proceed.
Every commercial, dude, is like, they can no longer do all black couples or all white couples. It's got to be a one party's black, one party's white, mixed kids, or like one party's black, one party's Asian. You know, which you don't see a lot. You don't see a lot of Asians with blacks or African Americans, whatever it is. You don't see that very often. Like the only person I can think of that is really that way is Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, I'm getting off that a little bit. But the commercials, dude, they have even like still advertising photos is like interracial families, and it's like I'm totally cool with interracial families. I think that's
well,
great.
I mean, I'm interracial.
Yeah,
but
but it's like, when did it become like not okay to do just one race family for advertising?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I know why. It's because everybody wants to be represented. Because there's a similar thing that, like, if you have a big brand, it's like Pepsi, right?
Right.
Or Coke. I don't know why I got Diet Pepsi. Coke is much
I don't
better.
either, dude. Diet Pepsi's gross.
That was a weird choice. I usually do Diet Coke. Anyways, so say Pepsi or Coca-Cola or something like that. And if they have this type of commercial that spans numerous families, they will have your nuclear family. So like husband, wife, mother, father, 2 children. And they will probably be now that you mention, I haven't seen it like a all white family in a commercial in a while. But usually they're mixed. But they'll also have include like a homosexual couple, but it's not explicitly given that they're a homosexual couple. It's just implied. It's always like 2 dudes on a couch snuggled up together.
Yes.
And not even like really snuggled up, but it's just like
one's wearing like weird. One's dressed like a
a bottom.
Like then there's the one that's got the earrings and the weird haircut, and you're like, oh, okay.
No, yeah. Or it's just too.
But
no. So I think it's just they're trying to represent everybody. Now here's my problem. Okay, they don't care.
That's what I was going to say. They don't. Does it really affect them? Because
no, they don't care. They only do it to sell more and make more money, and they have a word for that. It's called pandering. They do not care.
That's like Mexicans don't appreciate Taco Bell. I don't care what anybody says. And whenever I go to a Taco Bell and it's Mexicans working behind the counter, I want to leave because.
Well, how do you feel if you go to a Panda Express and there's a Chinese?
I don't like that. Because I think, specifically Mexicans at Taco Bell, they are not valuing their culture as well as I would like for them to. And
do you tell them that?
When I go in there and I see them back there, I'm like, oh no. Because I love Taco Bell, but I fully accept Taco Bell is its own, there's Mexican food, authentic Mexican food.
Yeah.
That's good. Then there's Taco Bell that is, I don't classify it even as Mexican. It's just Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So them stepping over that line and working at a Taco Bell, they know it's not Mexican, but yet they're doing it. But then I also expect for them to do their little spin on my chalupas. I think they're going to be back there with maybe a little bottle of their own home deal seasoning where they sprinkle it on the tacos every once in a while, and it doesn't happen. But then the same thing at Panda now. So Panda Express, especially because, and I also have a lot of doubt in our Chinese buffets in general because they're not accepting of their culture at all. Because I worked with a Chinese guy.
You go to the Chinese buffet, and the good ones advertise what type of grill.
Yes,
it's a Mongolian grill.
But Chinese food,
it's not Chinese
in America. You will not find that in China.
No.
It's not even.
No, yeah.
This guy I worked with, he was like, the Chinese food here is just Americanized.
It is.
It's not even anything close to.
It's an American caricature of what Chinese food would be.
He was saying, crab rangoon.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's not even.
I don't even think fortune cookies are a thing.
And
actually, I know that for a fact. I saw an episode of Unwrapped or something where they were talking about fortune cookies 100% American made
to make us feel better.
Yeah.
And
and actually, if anything, that's a very stereotypical quasi-racist thing, the fortune cookie, because it goes back to this idea of a Chinese old wise man.
Yeah.
Because old Chinese men are all wise.
Yeah.
Which is kind of that's a positive form of racism,
right?
I suppose.
Well, Derek, my buddy Derek, went to Chinese a few months ago, and he sent a picture. He opened up his fortune cookie, and it was literally nothing on it. It was a blank piece of paper.
Nice, dude. Remember when fortune cookies were there? There's a topic. Remember when fortune cookies, the fortunes, were good?
Yeah,
And I don't mean like they were all like positive. I mean like they were like really solid.
they may like not be the best news.
No. And like I remember
Now they're super vague. Like you can apply it to anything.
Yes.
Like, you're going to meet somebody that's really inspiring in the coming days. And it's like, okay. Well, they're all.
I remember the ones that were like expect bad news tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Check
Or
there should be one. They should.
Like you may want to adjust your 401k.
We should start a Chinese restaurant or just a fortune cookie business that's nothing but bad news.
It's like super specific ones.
Yeah, like check your bank account now.
Yeah. Or like the coffee pot has poison in it.
Yeah. So anyways, and then we kind of talked about this when we hijacked somebody's podcast that we were helping set up the other day, but the music at Chinese restaurants is 100% nothing that they listen to in real life. It is 1,000%.
I don't know, dude. That might be true.
Like they make that for us, but
no, I mean they might actually listen to that.
I don't know. I guess that's true because I can't see like Chinese people liking Bon Jovi.
No, dude. Though you're wrong about that. They love anytime an American rock star has went to an Asian country.
Yeah, but is he a rock star?
Yeah, he was.
How do you think when like Rod Stewart goes though?
I don't know, but I mean like freaking like, oh, what was the band that wasn't as popular? Then they went to Japan and they got huge. No, there was a rock band. It may have been like the Runaways or something like that.
Well, Metallica was kind of that way. They weren't really popular till they went and did that Europe tour where they got that bus crash happened and I think their bass player, guitar player died. Who was it? Their bass player?
I don't know.
But anyways,
I knew one of their first bass player died.
Yeah, he died in like in their somewhere in Europe or something. I believe in a bus crash.
Really? I don't know. I just listened to their music.
Yeah. So, anyways, let me get off of the Chinese discussion. So I do want to talk about this gypsy saying gypsy is racist. So,
is gypsy a race though?
No, they are just a bored community of a bunch of wackos.
I always just assumed that gypsies, and I mean, granted, they may have all descended from a certain culture. Right?
Yeah, a bunch of moochers that didn't want to work and stuff.
I mean, like a literal, like geographic, demographic culture. I think so. They may have descended from that. But what I'm saying is, like, most of the time, whenever you think of like gypsy, you think of like a nomadic type of character. I don't want to say hobo, but hobo-esque.
No, they were very.
And most of the time, they're characterized as
transients? Transients? Is that a
maybe
word? Like, I think gypsies are like modern day gypsies now would definitely be that Sister Wives guy. Like he gives me gypsy vibes. But gypsies are like they used to run around and steal and prostitute and just.
I was gonna say, like, most of the time, whenever you see gypsies in the media, it's not a. I mean, like, the only gypsy that was popularized in the media was
they're not exactly
pop culture would have been like Quasimodo's that girl that he wanted to bang.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't do anything positive. I mean, even the Hells Angels does the bicycle program for children, but like the gypsies don't do anything positive because, I mean, it's not like they're doing shop with a gypsy, like the shop with the cop do shop with the gypsy where they like take them around and teach them how to steal and take advantage of like gainfully employed men. But anyways,
gosh, dude.
They have declared that the term gypsy is now no longer to be used. So I'm not for sure what we're supposed to call them. But you knew that the main gypsy dude died, I don't know, probably 20 years ago.
What do you mean by the main gypsy dude?
He was the head gypsy and he was out of Salem. He was like,
what?
Because when he died, they had people from all over the world come to his funeral because he was like the head gypsy dude.
For real?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I only know that the only thing I knew that Salem was really noted for was creating Miracle Whip.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, that's what they say.
I thought it was somebody out of Salem. I knew it was somebody out of Salem. Because Kraft. Let's see.
I mean, they say Kraft bought it for like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, because it was somebody that visited the restaurant.
Yeah.
And, God, I can't find anything. By the way, there's a place in Salem, Illinois. It's a store called Gypsy Soul. Anyways, there's also a Gypsy Outlaw Motorcycle Club. That's another thing. Gypsies shouldn't ride motorcycles. But
why?
I don't know. It just seems weird.
Is that like a phobia of yours?
Yeah.
It's like gypsies on motorcycles. It just gives you anxiety.
It's
you
kind
have no idea why.
Yeah, I don't know. But what were you saying before that? Because I was getting ready to say something. The hedge. Oh, yeah, Kraft. I always heard that somebody from Kraft went into that whatever that restaurant was
and bought the recipe for nothing.
Yeah, it was like $25,000 or something.
Yeah.
Which, talk about making a lot of money off that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways,
I'm sure at the time that was a lot.
Yeah, at the time. So people are 2 cents. Society 2 cents. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
Metro police officers. That is something we probably should have talked about that when we talked about the George Floyd thing, or whenever we were mentioning the race.
The major
stuff.
metro police officers.
Yeah, because
because you said no. What cracked me up because one of those you said was 99% of cops not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of your. Dude.
I think the reason cops are getting obviously
there's this huge defund the police thing and
which is working out really well in Seattle, by the way.
Really?
No.
Oh.
So that's Walmart left Seattle.
I want to know that.
Yeah, they literally their theft rate was so bad that they literally closed everything Walmart in Seattle and offered all the employees to pay to move them and relocate them to another Walmart somewhere else.
Dude, are you serious?
Yeah, and they literally just turned the buildings over to the city and was like, here, we're done with this place. We're never coming back.
Where did you read that?
This has been probably a year ago when that was because Seattle did the whole defund deal.
Yeah.
And the crime rate's so bad. And it was video after video of people just going into Walmart, grabbing a TV and leaving and nothing they could do about it.
Dude.
So they closed every single one of them.
Wow.
Anyways, so with any job, there's going to be, unfortunately, a police officer that makes a mistake.
Yeah.
Just like any job is what I'm trying to say. But you have to remember that, especially right now, the cops are under tremendous pressure and are literally under a magnifying.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when one does something wrong, it is so publicized because it's like the media is just waiting for one of them to screw up, and they're going to make mistakes. And especially in Metro PDs.
Yeah.
Those guys are way underpaid.
Yeah, for what they do.
And they're scared to death to pull anybody over.
No, well, because the thing is and we talked about responsible gun ownership earlier. And there's some truth in this, in the statement that you're responsible for every bullet
right
that you fire. And so think about a police officer that has to consider those ramifications and the high stress that every traffic stop could be your last traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going up to a window of a car. You don't know that guy.
No.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, obviously it's going to be tense. And and I know, sometimes we like to give cops a hard time. I like to give cops a hard time too,
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that it's a dangerous job.
Right.
So, and the thing is hold on. We were talking about, because when we were writing down those show notes, we were talking about how the solution, the proposed solution, is to defund the police. But if you actually wanted to have change in the police force, because you still need the police,
mm-hmm.
but if you wanted to have change in the police force, then that would take more training. that would take more like in-depth onboarding process. And I know from a friend of mine's experience, they do like some sort of psych eval before you get your whatever graduate academy. But all that stuff takes time and money.
Right.
So I don't know how defunding. I don't know if defunding is the answer. Do I think reform needs to happen? Probably.
Yeah.
Do I think that there's some bad apples that need weeded out? Yeah, most definitely.
But they have to be more educated.
Yeah, but that costs money.
And I'm not saying that cops aren't educated. They need to be more. They need more psychological support, as they should, and then they need, honestly, I think better pay.
Right.
And
what do you think the world would be like if like law enforcement was a service type of like kind of like jury duty?
Where it's just a volunteer, or
it's not even volunteer. You just get called upon and you just do it.
That probably wouldn't be good,
dude. That would be nuts.
I mean, I feel like the defund,
dude. If that was me, I'd be walking around like freaking Judge Dredd. Yeah, I am the law.
They, especially the metro side, it's like holy crap,
dude. Yeah,
I mean,
we didn't do their homework like we said we would, but I mean, there's gotta be statistics of the amount of violent crimes that happen in these major cities, and it's not. So we were talking about that, like not to necessarily defend the guy about the George Floyd incident, but these other cops that have suffered severe scrutiny over one guy.
Yeah, the answer is defund the police and also let's burn down the neighborhoods. Because, the one guy made a mistake and then it turned into every city was turned into a freaking nightmare. War zone.
Yeah.
And
no, so here's where I think the hardcore right messed up in that situation. Was some of them tried to defend the dude that had his knee on George Floyd.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if you're going to go into this from that standpoint, you're going to lose because that's not cool. But
it would have been much better for them to be like, man, he made a mistake. And that's not cool.
It's no, so like, I probably have family that have done something really stupid.
Right. And
I'm over here like, yeah, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
How stupid would that make me look if I was trying to defend them?
Yep.
Well,
because like I heard somebody say a few months ago, and I'd never really thought of it this way. It was like they were asking a group of us, like, hey, have you ever made a mistake? And somebody was like, yeah, but I was never caught.
Nice.
And I got to thinking, I was like, everybody knows that they've messed up somewhere, but the mentality of, well, I was never caught. But the problem is like, that you did that.
Right. That doesn't change the fact that yes.
No. So that was kind of a perspective thing for me. It's like, but there's going to be guys that just make mistakes.
Right.
I mean, and that's just the reality of it. But I do think that they should be better educated and given much more resources than what they have. Because whenever I went to college for criminal justice, that's what I was going to do. And I was in communication with Metro PD in St. Louis. I was going to be a police officer. And during my interview, they went through the pay, and it was $25,000 a year.
What?
Yeah, and I had to live in the city limits. And I was like, so me and my parents, this is before I was married, we sat down and did like the paperwork because I didn't have a car loan or anything. And I was like, we were looking at apartments and stuff. I was like, I can't afford to do this, like literally. And I talked to one of the guys over in the hiring process, and he's like, yeah, we just recommend that you split apartments with 2 or 3 other guys coming out of the academy. And it was then I was like, I don't know that this is for me.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of stress right off the bat, just even financially.
Right. So here's what I would say if that was the offer given to me. So you're going to pay me far below cost of living. And then on top of that, you're going to demand that I live in a very easily findable location to where if I cross somebody, they know exactly where to find me.
And expect me to uphold the law in a serious manner and not break it. I mean,
So, I mean, it's not, I mean, but like I said, to fix those things, that costs money.
Yes.
So defunding is not, I don't think that's the smart option. Do I think reform might be the option? Yeah, reform might be a very solid option. Defund, though? No.
No. And I think if you asked most police officers, like, is there something that you need help with?
Oh, most of them would say yeah.
Yeah. And I think most of them would even take up on, like, if I was a police captain or chief or sheriff, whatever, I would probably, like, it would be mandatory a couple times, like 2 hours a week for every officer to go through, like, paid therapy.
Yeah. Or have, like, some sort of mandatory vacation.
Yes.
Like an extended vacation period.
But, like, talking to a therapist, like I talked to a therapist, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's good for everybody. Like, even because I was hardcore, like, no therapist. Like, that's weird. I'm not seeing a shrink. And I remember the first time I went and talked to a therapist, I was like, this is freaking ridiculous. This is going to be so stupid. And I left there like, holy crap, that was something about a stranger helping you figure out what's going on in your head.
Right.
Rationalizing it.
That's another OnlyFans idea I had. Because I am not at all qualified anyway, not literally, educationally, right, legally, whatever, not qualified to be a therapist. However, for whatever reason, there's something on my face that tells people to just give me their life story.
Right.
And everywhere I mean, literally, I was actually like writing it down, like written documentation of, I would just go somewhere just to see what would happen.
Right.
And I always came across somebody and I would always hear their life story.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm just going to start like an OnlyFans or something where you can just call me and just tell me whatever. And it'll just be between us. And I probably won't be, I won't be able to prescribe you any medication. I won't be able to really diagnose you with anything. However, I'll hear your story.
Yeah.
I'll hear what you guys say, you know?
No, I think that there's a good it's a good thing for people to be able to discuss their problems with somebody that, you know,
like a total stranger,
because you also gain another perspective.
No, yeah. Well, think of this. Would you tell your family things that you tell your therapist?
No.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like our friend Bobby, he's a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want to see him, but he won't see me
because you're too close.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on one hand, I'm like, what the heck?
But then on the other hand, you get it.
Yeah, I get it. Because he's like, no, because I can help you, but I know like too much about you and you won't. I think it's more of a protecting me thing where he's like,
if you know too much about the person that you're consulting, you probably have.
Well, because your responses you're never going to cater to what you think they may want to hear.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
I was going to say maybe like you might have a subtle bias.
Yes.
Because it's like, if I know you real well, and I know you real well, and I know I know a pretty good amount of your background,
right?
Then some of the things that I should be like, yeah, but I should be like, you really shouldn't, whatever. I might give you a pass,
right?
Because I know your background,
right?
And I'm not saying a therapist won't do that, but if they have 100% unbiased opinion,
yeah,
then they can be like, nah, it's this,
yeah, because I talk to a lady now. She's my therapist, and she's really good, but she's like, she tells me things that I don't even want to hear.
Right.
She's like, no, you're thinking this or doing this because of this. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
It's like you know what term I hate? I hate the term self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard this?
Oh, yeah. I've heard people say that. But I mean, I've also heard for me, the word that I hate is seasons. Like, well, this is a season of your life.
Yeah.
I hate that.
The terms I hate right now are COVID, woke, and like I said before, it's not because I'm anti-woke. It's because both the hard left and the hard right have made that word awful. I hate those words. Air quality.
Yes.
Do you remember there for a bit? That's all you heard about was air quality. And I'm like, dude, we never freaking cared about air quality till just now. Yeah. Literally just now.
Well, we were running out of things to be concerned about.
Literally. No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people are genuinely consistently looking for something to be concerned or worried about. And I'm just like, settle down, dude. Like,
well, it creates a sense of people, I think, enjoy the sense of fear.
I think that there is some truth to that people feel like, and on the same token, we were talking little bit about people that mooch off government assistance. I think that people are consistently looking for something like some form of conflict.
Right.
Like something's got to be against them.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know?
No, you're totally right. I mean, it's everybody appears, I say everybody, a lot of people need a conflict and they need something to also be scared about.
I'll be the first one to admit I need to have a conflict. You heard me last night on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not leaving until I get in a toxic lobby.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I gotta have conflict.
The toxic lobbies are really uplifting for me.
Yes.
Because I enjoy hearing people yell at each other.
Dude.
And even when they yell at me, like that girl that was yelling at me the other night, was that last night?
No, it was the night before.
Yeah. That was maybe a little much. It wasn't even that I was taking it personal. Then it was becoming annoying.
No, I said some things I wasn't proud of.
Oh, dude, I thought it was very appropriate. But anyways, that could be a show sometimes, just recording Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, people do it. They stream. They stream their gameplay. Nah, dude. When I turn on Call of Duty, it's like I vent out all of my day's frustrations onto people.
Right.
But in the hopes that they don't take it super personal.
Like they're not actually going to get off the game and be sad about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I would say, like sometimes I'll say some pretty deep cut stuff, but usually I try and keep it at like you just wasted $70 on a game that you're trash at.
Yeah. I don't know. Speaking of which, we should talk about that for a second because sometimes I think, is it strange for me to be 34 years old and every night I look forward to playing this game? But then there's a stigma though, and I'm the worst, probably one of the worst offenders, is I'm a busybody constantly feeling like I need to do something productive. And I talk to my therapist about this this is like our hot topic. And she's like, you need to learn that you do not have to be doing something, dude, all the time.
I make the joke with Taylor consistently that you are not happy if I'm sitting still. So like if I like my wife Taylor, so if I'm sitting still and doing nothing but on my phone, she is not satisfied. Right. I must be doing something. If it's the laundry, if it's the dishes, right, if it's cooking something, if it's and I'm like, no, I can sit still for a minute. That's okay.
Right. See, Brittany is the type that she for years has been like, you need to slow down and sit still. Like that's she funny. Encourages it. But
not Taylor.
I think because there's been times she's like, seriously, like sit down and watch a show. But that's why, like, even with Call of Duty during the day, will not get on.
No.
And because it's so burnt into my brain, like.
Well, I don't really get on. I get on very minimally during the day.
I don't think there's anything wrong with getting on. It's in the middle of the day or in the morning. It's for me, like, when I'm sitting there, I would be like, oh, man, I really needed to do this. I needed to do this. But even of an evening sometimes, I'm like, well, I really could have probably have done more emails, you know, because I have spent so much of my work time, like, kids and Brittany goes to bed, and then I'm like, okay, and then I'm up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. So this whole thing of playing a game at night has been very interesting for me and good for me at the same time, because I'm having to learn, like, I don't have to go 1,000 miles an hour, because doing that for so long has put me in a little bit of a position this last year where, like, my stress level got too high, my anxiety level got too high.
Right.
And I learned that, oh, I've just been running around like a maniac doing a million things when I wasn't taking time to help myself either.
I think part of that too comes from like our generation. So you're what? You're 35, 34?
34, yeah.
But you're about to be 35.
Unfortunately. In a month, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm about to be 30. And
that's gonna suck, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, it does. It's literally the worst birthday.
It's just all down here from here.
I don't. 40 won't even. 40 is gonna be really bad, but I really feel like 30 was just a kick in the gut.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so, shoot, what was I saying? Oh, so like our generation though, our parents had also probably had that mentality of like, if you get home from school, you're consistently going to be doing something. I'm going to take just a second until that coffee maker stops.
We should go over there and be like, would you mind to keep that down?
Yeah, hey, we're trying to have a conversation over here. There we go. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And so anyways, I feel like our generation, though, we grew up with parents that had that same mentality of like, you always are doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad, like if like he was the same way. If I was sitting down, it was a problem because that meant I could have been doing something.
Right.
So,
yeah. And that's also a problem with our culture.
About that constant need to be doing something.
Like Americans are incredibly stressed, and we've done that all to ourselves, where we've created an environment where you work too much, you do too much.
Yeah.
Like I keep using Germans as an example, but like whenever they would come to the U.S., they would always be like, "You guys are way too stressed over here. Like you guys are doing way too much. You are working way too much." And
I feel like either American culture, we either go so hard or we crash so hard.
Yes.
It's never like that balanced like work life, like that work home life. It's never balanced out. It's either I'm like hardcore at this or I'm crashing so hardcore.
And that's things I'm discovering about myself is like it's okay to just have slow times.
Right.
And it is perfectly like take that time and enjoy more family time.
Well, I've been going to school for maybe a little over a year now. And I consistently would feel, I still do. I consistently feel bad for like not working. Which I say that I'm still working. Like I still help my dad with the food truck. And so I do odd jobs and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm not completely not working or not contributing. It's just that I was just focusing on school.
Right.
And so I don't bring in like a regular paycheck home, right? It's just pretty much just kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's just if I work, I work and then make money, whatever. But I just consistently feel bad because, honestly, I really don't know because Taylor makes really good money. I say really good for,
Yeah, no, she does well.
Yeah. So, that's not an entry level job. Here's the thing that pisses me off about my wife, okay, is that, and I've said this before, I've been in the workforce for, I'll be 30 this year. So since I was, about 16 years old. And I feel like even to this day, based on my experience, I'm qualified to be a toilet cleaner at best. Taylor, however, she freaking walks into a job like a government type job, like a contracting government job.
Right.
And they're just like, here's this wonderful work from home job with like a 5% matching 401k and insurance benefits, and all this stuff. I'm like, what the crap? What's up with that, man?
Yeah. She's done well.
She's done well.
Really well.
I'm really proud of her. But no, like
I know what you're saying. It's
like I was saying, like I just feel bad about.
Right.
But I had to tell myself, like, listen, like your bills are being paid. Your kids aren't starving.
Right.
It's not like you're not doing anything.
Right.
So, what are you worried about?
No, there's got to be times where it's okay to, like, for me, you can't change who you are.
Right.
So I know I can't change my work ethic and my drive. And that's not me bragging. I just know where I'm at.
No.
It's not.
Well, sometimes those things can be weaknesses.
There are, yes. Because, like, my therapist thinks, like, my drive, my personality, the go, do, was more of creating a distraction from focusing on myself.
Right.
Which makes sense. But anyways.
Boy, your therapist really cut deep on that one.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now is I know I can't change the way I, the drive I have and the work ethic I have. And as much as I appreciate my work ethic, I've got to learn how to fine tune like this. It's okay to be that way, but I've got to learn how to be able to step back and slow it down.
Yeah.
Which has been a huge adjustment.
Yeah, that would be an adjustment for me as well.
So,
because I'm very similar in that same regard, that as soon as I like get hooked on something, I am just freaking hooked on it. Like, yeah.
You want to go? You're all in.
But I go, and my crash is super hard. I feel like though, like with your line of work, that kind of is okay because of doing like you do your cat runs, right? Your catastrophe runs, and you're just going, and then you cash out your chips and leave the casino,
right?
And then you can go home. And
well, what was weird was every time I come home though, it would be very stressful because
you weren't constantly working.
I was like, what am I doing today? And I'd be like, I have nothing to do today.
That's stressful.
And then it's like my brain was so wired that every day was filled with stupid long hours, and I was very busy to like, oh, now I'm looking for something to do. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, no, I thrive more in, I say, a structured environment, in that I have something to do.
Right.
Like, I have to tell myself that there is something that I've got to get done.
Right.
And even if I don't get it done,
it's not
at least, yeah, like at least I told myself I had something that I had to get done. Another thing that I found is I cannot be at home.
Right.
Like, I have to get out of the house.
Yeah, see, that's been an adjustment for me. So sorry, I was having to send a message real quick. So if I being wired to where I'm trying to think how I want to word this. With the busy and then the stop, I think it's like a almost, I wouldn't, depression's not the right word necessarily, but when you are at such a high level and being distracted, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
You are distracted from your home life, you are distracted from everything, and it's only work, and it's at this really high level.
Yeah.
Then you come back, and then all of a sudden, the simple things as, oh, the dog needs let out every day, all these weird little things,
yeah,
that like my wife deals with, then you come back in and you start helping with, it's weird.
Yeah.
And not that you don't want to do those things, but it's like, it's just weird, and it's really hard to explain. But the whole me being, like, I've been at home a lot the last couple months, and that has been a major adjustment. But I'm starting to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie, like, for a while, it was like, this is kind of strange.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to be working.
Yeah, working. And, like, you know, it's been nice because I got to spend a lot of time with Brittany and the boys, and I go with her and do a lot of her stuff that she does, and just kind of hanging out, you know, and like me and you got to hang out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But one thing for me that is helpful is usually every evening I'll think about the next day.
Yeah.
And if I have nothing to do, I create simple things like sweep the garage, take out the trash, answer some emails, do a couple supplements. Like, I create all these small little steps.
Mm-hmm.
And me just knowing that I have a few little things, even though they're really little, that helps. Because a lot of my anxiety comes from the unknown of empty space and nothing to do.
Yeah, see, like, I'm just, I guess the word for it's lazy. And I have a little bit of a laziness problem. No, to me it's just I just kind of like consistently live for that moment.
Right.
And so Bert Kreischer, that I identify so much with that dude because he seems to be that exact same way where he's like, nah, dude, I'm just living in this moment.
Yeah. See, I want to do that so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like for me it's a nightmare because I'm consistently like, I like you said, you're thinking about tomorrow. I'm like, I'm thinking about here and like now in the next, and also in the next 20, 30 minutes.
No, which I'm much better. I can become very aware and in the moment now. I couldn't a few months ago, but that was one of the things. Like whenever I go fishing, like especially if I was by myself, I would feel so guilty, and then all I would do while I was fishing was think about the things I needed to do that week.
Yeah,
and that's where
like, here I am fishing.
That's where my therapist would be like, yeah, that's where we need to work on, like, just taking it easy, living for the day, which sounds so cliche, you know. It's like, live for today. But I genuinely wasn't. And it was like, I was always thinking about my to-do list.
Yeah.
And so enjoying little things like going to the movies with my kids, doing all these things.
Yeah, see, I'm the exact polar opposite of that.
Yeah, that's great. It's like having curly hair versus straight hair. People with straight hair want to have curly hair.
Well, curly hair want to have straight hair.
And so for me, I want to be the person like you're saying you are, where it's just like, yeah, I'm going to chill out, man.
To me, that's my freaking nightmare. And I consistently live in day after day.
No, for me, that's not the way it is. I mean, it's just, it's definitely a want to slow down, want to enjoy things a little bit more. Like, do you enjoy when you go to a restaurant? Do you just like thoroughly enjoy the experience? And
yeah,
see, I don't really do that.
Not like my favorite thing. Taylor thinks I'm crazy. One of my favorite things is going in by myself.
I do that a lot, but it's not because I want to.
Nah, I thoroughly enjoy it. Whenever I first bought my house in here in town, the first weekend that I got my paycheck from Walmart, DC, I went to Evansville and I ate at like an Olive Garden by myself.
Where was Taylor?
I don't know.
I like it.
It was the greatest. Honestly, it was the greatest experience. And the lady, and what's so, and I also kind of think it's funny because who eats at an Olive Garden by themselves?
Dude, I've never ate at an Olive Garden by myself. I've ate a lot of places by myself.
No, dude, like I will straight up like go to a place where you sit, not like, and I'm not even talking about like going to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about going to a place where like you're going to be here a minute.
Dude, so when I was a kid, I used to get really sad for people. Like when me and my mom would go out to eat, or my parents, whatever. I remember when people would be eating by themselves in a restaurant, I would get genuinely sad for them. And I remember asking my mom, like, why are they by themselves? And she'd always be like, I don't know. And I would be so sad for them as a little kid. As an adult, and what's
freaking hilarious.
Yes, and what's weird is as an adult, especially for my job, I try to stay away from fast food. I will go into a lot of restaurants the majority of the time and eat by myself. And sometimes I think back to when I was a kid, and I'm like, boy, freaking joke's on you. Yeah. Now I'm sitting here.
Your mom's like, little do you know that a few years, 30 years from now, it's going to be you, kid.
Yeah. And then
you're that miserable guy.
Yeah. And I will literally see like a family sitting at a table eating, and I'm in there by myself, and I think, wow, are the tables turned? I'm like, I wonder if that little
there's like some little brat turning around in the booth looking at you.
Yeah.
And he's like got this like gloss-eyed look, and he turns to his mom and he's like, why is that man all by himself?
And I want to, yeah, I do. I've thought about that, and I have wanted, if I heard that, I'd be like, listen, kid, I said the same thing.
Yeah.
And you might as well just get used to it, because apparently it's going to be you when you're older.
Dude, I enjoy it. I remember whenever I went to that Olive Garden by myself. It was like the first, mind you, I was also 18, and I just moved out of my parents' house, and I grew up in a house with a bunch of kids, like a bunch of siblings, because I've got 3 full-blooded siblings, and I've got step siblings on top of that. So I've always grown up in a house that was so busy.
Right.
And when I was 18, I bought my own house. Dude, living in my own house was the greatest experience ever. Taylor would get so mad because the only rooms that I used was the living room, the bathroom, and the kitchen.
Right.
Because I had like this really comfy recliner set up in the living room. I had a small 40, or I say small, but at the time, or nowadays it's small, but a 42-inch TV.
Right.
On like a coffee table. My Xbox, I had internet, and I had a mini fridge and a hot plate for my food.
Yeah.
And dude, that was the greatest living. And I was by myself.
Yeah.
And I would go to the Family Video every day, or not, whatever the video store.
Right.
I think it's called
here in Florida.
Yeah, I would go to the video store every day, and I would rent movies. And it was like I was like a kid at a library or something, like some nerdy kid at a library. I'd bring my movies back and get some new ones. I watched movies like crazy, dude.
How long did you live by yourself before you guys got married?
I bought it in maybe February, and we got married in May.
So you lived by yourself for a while.
A little bit, and it was the best. I mean, I love my wife and I love my kids and everything, but living by myself was the greatest. It was the greatest experience ever. But Taylor would get so mad because she's like, "You don't even use your whole house." I was like, "I got everything I need right here.
Yeah.
What else do I need?"
Yeah.
But anyway, so Olive Garden, right? I went to the Olive Garden, and I was by myself, and they were so shocked because they said, "How many?"
Just me.
I was like, "Oh, just one." They were like, really? And they said, "Okay, like, do you want to sit at the bar?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm 18. Like, I can't drink." They were so confused
Yeah.
as to why this kid was eating by himself at an Olive Garden. And literally, like, the whole time they would like offer me, like, I got like a complimentary dessert.
Yeah. They felt bad for you.
Yes. Like, but dude, it was so great and I was just, it's not like this was before like the continuous like scrolling days of TikTok, right? I was just there, just enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I think that's also why, like, I think it's okay for me to put it on here, but I smoke a tobacco pipe. But I think that's why I like smoking tobacco pipes is because, like, I just sit by myself.
Yep. No phone.
No phone.
Yeah.
Just sit by myself for a moment.
Yeah.
And just
exist.
Yeah. Just exist.
Yeah. Because I try and do that once a day for about 30 minutes is literally, I never make it 30 minutes, but I'm trying to get to that.
Well, I get till the bowl's empty in my pipe.
Yeah.
And it takes about 45 minutes to an hour.
So I try and just sit like literally with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Which is very bizarre.
No, dude, I
mean, I do enjoy, I can feel a difference, but it's like, when I first started doing it, after like 2 or 3 minutes, it's like, holy crap.
Dude, but like before it got colder, I'd go to the park here in town.
Yeah.
And just sit on a bench.
That's awesome.
And people would drive by like, what's that psycho doing smoking a pipe in the park by himself?
Yeah, I like that.
Dude, I don't know. But it was just, I don't know. It's calming, I guess, to just sit for a moment. And Taylor cracks me up because she thinks that my mind normally is like racing.
Right.
But whenever I'm in those moments, it's just empty.
Yeah.
Blank. And she'll be like, "What are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Just clearing my mind."
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
That's so funny. I don't go. Mine's usually like I try and sit in the garage, but like I said, it doesn't last that long. Because when I first started doing it, I read this. I was reading this book on like calming and like it's almost like a meditation. But it was like when you sat down, and this is so weird. When you sit in silence, you try and think of a word and you say it, and then try not to think of anything to do with that word. And it is almost impossible. Like sit down and be like, I'm not going to think about the word banana.
Oh,
you will find yourself constantly being like, nope, no bananas. No bananas. Nope. Nope.
dude.
It is so weird how your brain does that. Because you can be like, all right, I'm going to sit here in the quiet and I'm not going to think about bananas. And we're not even going to think about it at all. And then the next thing you know, you're sitting there like, banana. No banana. No banana.
Dude, that's so funny.
It's creepy.
It's like, that's supposed to be like some sort of meditation practice?
Yes, it's supposed to help you learn how to like control your thoughts and slow yourself down to where that's helping.
Weird.
That helps you control, like, because you're probably like me where you can be all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about this. And
oh, yeah.
It's like, I call it like a misfire.
Yeah.
And it's a way to help control when you're like, no, I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to think about anything.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I would see what I would do. You know what I'd do? I'd reverse engineer that sucker, or reverse psychology that sucker, and think about something that I really wanted to think on, and then I'd be like, okay, don't think about this.
But you would think about the thing you want to think about?
Yeah.
Well, that's the point.
No, I mean, I would try and reverse psych myself out, and I'd be like, okay, don't think about the stuff that you've got to get done tomorrow.
Yes.
And then I would just do nothing but think about the stuff I've got to get done tomorrow.
Right. No, it's dude, the freaking brain is interesting, man. It's kind of wild.
No, yeah, 100%. You know what? What I think is interesting, and I didn't think too much about this until I started looking into my ADHD, as how our eyes work, because the actual amount of vision that the human eye has is not much.
Okay.
But what it is, though, is actually your brain is filling in all of the other things that your eye is not focused on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. So like whenever you look at me, you're actually looking at me, but your brain is filling in all this other stuff that's around me based off of the light that's reflecting off of these other things.
So even though I don't feel like I'm paying attention to the sign, my brain is actually...
Your brain is like... so like everything reflects light.
Right.
Right? Every object in the universe reflects light.
Right.
And your eye is like an absorber of light.
Right.
And so although, you may be looking at me, you are literally only looking at me.
Right.
But the light from that sign and this light, this clock, and all this other stuff, that light is still being absorbed into your pupils, and your brain is calculating and filling all that stuff in as to how that stuff works.
Well, so I read again in one of these books that the average brain has 75,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but whenever you think about it, it's like, dude, I probably had 100 in the last 30 seconds. So,
and that is another reason why they say the American culture needs to slow down, is because everybody's on overdrive and everybody's having to get on medication.
Yeah. Well,
because we can't calm down. We can't slow down.
Think of, too, the amount of information that you have in the palm of your hand.
Oh, I know.
And I was reading a study about how information evolves. So, for example, we were talking about flat earthers, right?
Right.
And there, for a time being, people thought the earth was flat. And then eventually, no, the earth's actually round.
Right.
There's also the idea that the earth was the center of the universe, or our solar system. But at the time, that was just the universe.
Right.
And then eventually science came along and was like, no, actually, the sun is the center, and we're all revolving around the sun. So information evolving like that, like at one point in time, it was every few thousand years.
Right.
And then eventually got to where it was like every few 100 years.
Right.
And eventually got to where it was like every few decades. And now it's to where information evolves like every day.
Every minute, almost.
Almost.
I mean, literally, because it's so I few months ago, I went without a cell phone for almost 2.5 weeks. I'm talking no cell phone, no social media, no nothing. And
that sounds like bliss,
dude. If I could encourage anybody, if they have a way to do that,
dude,
it was the most. So it was an interesting time. So, anyways, I read more, journaled a little bit, and then just did normal things, but literally no TV, no phone, no social, no nothing.
For how long did you do that?
Almost 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
So,
see, my problem is like everything that I do occupationally. So earlier I said I didn't really work, but I still, like I said, I still work. It's just odd jobs. But everything that I do for money requires technology, which on some levels I'm like, that's a problem. But
well, I think everything, I do too. It was just I chose to do that.
Yeah.
But everything does revolve around that with work. I think everything anymore. It's like, is there really even anything that doesn't?
I mean, you could start a vegetable stand, right? Like you could just grow a garden,
right,
and start selling vegetables, but you wouldn't be able to market yourself without using technology. So,
but if there was a way that everybody could figure out even a week, it was so refreshing that at the end of it, I didn't want my phone back.
No, dude. Did I ever tell you about the time I went a whole year without a phone?
Was this when you lost one or broke one or something?
I lost one. This was several years ago.
I remember when you lost it.
And everyone was getting mad at me because they were trying to get a hold of me. I worked for a church.
Right.
And my boss was like, "How come you never answer your phone?" I was like, "Well, I don't have a phone."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, I'm always with my wife. And so if you really need to get a hold of me, you can call her.
Right.
And she'll give me the phone, but I just don't need a phone right now."
Yeah.
And it was because I lost one.
Right.
And I spent it was almost a year that I went without a phone.
Wow.
It was great.
That would be nice.
The only thing that I missed was having music.
Yeah, that would suck.
Because I live for Spotify.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that would be hard. I mean, I'm not saying everybody needs to go permanently without phones. I think that's actually impossible now.
Nowadays people. Taylor would tell me, she's like, "Well, how am I supposed to get a hold of you?" I'm like, "Well, how did they do it before phones?"
Right. Exactly.
I was like, there was a point. I was like, this is a pretty modern concept. This constant communication here. Before then, you just hoped for the best.
My uncle, he just recently got a cell phone. He's retired now.
For the first time?
Yeah. And for years, everybody's like, "You need to get a cell phone." And he was always like, "Why?" And like, "So we can get a hold of you." And he's like, "I work at the same place I've worked at for 30 years.
What do you need to get a hold of me
If you need to get a hold, this is why I was still working." But he's like, "If you need to get a hold of me during the day, I have a desk phone. And then if that's not the case, then call my house and leave me a message on the answer machine."
Right. I'll get back with you.
Generally, I'm home by 5, so just call me then. And I remember thinking, that sounds freaking awesome.
Think of the amount of anxiety that you get from those phone calls from people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's got that person that whenever the phone rings and you see that name, it gives you so much freaking anxiety that you can't even stand it.
Yeah.
What would happen if you just didn't have the phone?
It'd be great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I guess my problem is I got to have music. So I need to really, honestly, here's the problem at this point. I rely too much on my phone. I have it for the camera. I listen to music on it. I've got my notes and stuff on it. I've got everything on my phone.
Right.
It's convenient, but it's a problem because now I'm reliant on that phone.
Right.
Eventually, though, I'd like to just get a burner phone and have an MP3 player and just do that.
Yeah. I don't think you could do it, though. I think it'd be good for you to try doing breaks, but I don't think you could go totally without.
Yeah, at least a break. I'd do a break at least.
I mean, I really do. You got to try it for a week.
I'll try it.
I mean, I'm talking nothing. No Call of Duty.
Oh, man, that would be
I don't know. You're probably not allowed to do this right now because I'm really into the Call of Duty thing, so you really can't. But I don't know. Anyways, that's all interesting information. I was gonna say,
information you didn't know you needed to know.
Other things, we got some stuff on here that are bigger ones that we can hit another time.
Yeah, I feel like that's about all the time that we got for the day.
Yeah, because there's some. Yeah, some of these are really good.
That
was good. We got enough for content for now, so.
Yep. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be posting this on Spotify if you get that Podbean thing set up.
Yeah, we'll do Spotify, YouTube, and it should go to iTunes. So if anybody, we're not 100% how it's going to look mainly on iTunes and Spotify. It should be our same. It'll be our same logo that we had before. I think on Spotify it still has our old episodes, which is great.
At least on my Spotify it does.
Yeah. But there may be another misunderstood page or I'm sorry, I don't know what the
channel
word
or
channel. So even on iTunes, it'll still be misunderstood. So you just have to look for the newest content because with our old stuff, I I don't know that we're going to be able to get into our old stuff because the account, we didn't do this basically for the last 4 years. So some of that stuff's kind of froze or gone. But either way, we'll get it up everywhere that we can. And then on the Facebook page, you can follow that and see where we'll post everything on the Facebook page.
Yeah, but I'm really wanting for us to push for the YouTube thing.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
subscribe
We should
on
be able to
YouTube.
do that almost immediately.
Yeah, I'll be doing that later.
Yeah,
putting it
so
on YouTube. So,
all right, thanks guys. Share with a friend.
See ya.